But there was a lot of work done today. It was an over 2-hour period, and it was all ones and twos. They didn't trot the threes out there at all. So they got enough work in. My guess is you will not see many guys in the preseason game.
So does that include Jayden Daniels?
I would be surprised if he played.
Okay.
Against the Dolphins. He threw 16 passes in 11-on-11 work today. I had him at 12 of 16. I don't love, posting passing stats. Let's talk about Daniels for a second, though. I think that's a good jumping-off point for the day. Man, was he sharp. Danny, he looks so good under center in play action. I don't know if this is going to be the way the offense looks all the time or if this was just what they were working on today. I can't tell you how many times he was under center running a boot play action and kind of throwing on the move and doing it beautifully with touch, layering throws over sinking linebackers, over top of hands into the second level, intermediate and deep. He hit on long passes. In my notes today, I had a Van Jefferson toe tap on the sideline dime, probably 25 yards downfield. Terry McLaurin caught a ball for 30 yards downfield, got his feet in along the sideline. Daniels hit Treylon Burks on a deep corner route behind everybody with the Dolphins for what would have been a 30-plus yard completion. He was super accurate. 4 incompletions. 1 was a batted ball at the line in the red zone. 1 was a bad ball to Luke McCaffrey, which was the only super inaccurate pass of 16 throws in 11-on-11. And then there were 2 pretty well-covered PBUs where he was dropping a ball in the bucket and a corner made a play. That's the entirety of his 16-throw practice. There was 15 throws that were on the money. Like, he looked really, really good.
So let's get into those things, not just the individual moments of throws, because that's obviously encouraging to hear. I'd rather hear that than the other way. I forget the person's name. I apologize. But we mentioned Finley had a Giants reporter on talking about how Jackson Dart's got to play in the preseason because, my God, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So I'd rather hear what you're saying than what he's saying.
Well, let me say this, too. I was talking to someone out here today. I want to air him out because they didn't tell me this to go on air. But they had just been with the Eagles, and they said the Jalen Hurts progression with Sean Mannion. You know how I've been outspoken about how bad of a fit I think that is, by the way.
You were on record.
But they're like, it's not going very well. And the point was it's just wildly inconsistent. Like, there's some times where it looks okay, but the middle of the field stuff, some of the bootleg play action stuff where you're throwing to the guy running the over route, like the stuff Daniels was making look easy today has not come naturally to Hurts. So I don't want to – I'm not trying to oversell this. And I'm even trying to calm myself down a little bit as I watched it today because I don't think the Dolphins are going to be good. I'm going to keep saying that over and over and over again. But Daniels has surpassed even my most optimistic hopes for how he would look running this offense. He just looks like he's been doing it for a long time. And some of the stuff that I assumed he could do because he's ultra-athletic, you always say, well, he should be able to do everything, and you're right. He's just done it more easily. I just think of this as a big transition, and he's not making it look like a big transition.
So that's what I wanted to get to, is under center, what did we see? Is it, was that where the majority of the passes came from? Are we play action? Are we booting? That's the stuff that I'm most concerned about. As you said, a pass being complete or incomplete in a joint practice, who knows what Miami was doing, schemed up or whatever defense. Nobody's trying to win the day. They're looking to devalue their players too. Who knows what their agenda was? But I care about just how those kind of operational things looked. What did we see in that regard from Daniels in terms of where they lined up and how they were getting to these passes?
Yeah, I didn't really see many. There might have been 1 or 2. I don't remember them, but like straight drop back from under center, 3-5 in the pocket, standing there, kind of hopping up and down, making a throw. But they were under center constantly. I would say, remember, under center in this league at a high rate is about 50%. So there's still a lot of shotgun, and they were in shotgun plenty today. But when they were under center, almost exclusively, they were doing a lot of either handing the ball off and or running play actions with boots. Like where he would be rolling out of the pocket, often to his right, to his throw side, and he would be throwing the ball down the field. Now, again, I wonder, is that just the thing that they decided to work on, the part of the game that they wanted to really hone in on in these 11-on-11 periods today, or is that what the offense is going to look like? I would imagine a little bit of both. But I can't tell you how many times they would run something and I would go, that's Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. That's Ben Johnson with the Lions and the Bears. The first down almost every single 11-on-11 period started with like a Bill run. And if you want a little cold water or like some balanced talk, their interior offensive line couldn't get anything going in the run game today at all. They really struggled between the tackles, I thought, to run the football. Having said that, I thought they were okay in pass pro for the most part. Anytime Daniels was in the pocket, dropping back, it was fairly quick, or they were able to hold up, keeping a guy in, a tight end in, something like that. Or obviously moving the pocket makes that a lot easier, which they did a ton of. But, yeah, I think if what we saw today is kind of gospel and how this is going to look, I think you're going to be really fired up because he looks to me like trying to think of a comp, almost like Bo Nix and Sean Payton's offense, where he's like constantly moving and throwing, and it's short and intermediate, and then you take your shots down the field. There was one particular play where they ran a bootleg, and he had a player out in the flat kind of right away, and he could have just thrown it there for 4 or 5 yards, and he waited, and then on an over route, kind of in the middle of the field on the backside, he had, I think it was De'Ami Brown, come free, and he just threw a ball only he could catch, and he kind of slid and caught it for like 15 yards. But those are the types of decisions you want to see.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, there's the, as soon as something's open, throw it school. Then there's also the, no, I know I'm in no hurry here because I know what else is coming, right? So if that 4 or 5 yards is available after a 3 count or it's available immediately, I remember some of those Brady throws and going back to Cousins type throws, sort of changing the thought process where I'm not going broke taking a profit there, but you also can, you can have enough wherewithal to say, I'm not in jeopardy here. Nobody's in my face. I don't have to get rid of this thing. I've got some space in front of me. Let me wait for, as you said, the over route or whatever's coming to break free. Those kind of decision-making bits are something that he's always excelled at.
All right, item number 2 here on the Danny will love this file. You ready?
Yes.
Stefon Diggs, man.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to be a game changer for them. Remember when I was like, they don't need another wide receiver. They don't need to sign Diggs. I still feel like they could have been okay. We don't want okay, do we?
No.
Do you want okay?
Mm-mm.
This guy is so good. Running routes, again, I'm going to keep doing my caveat of, bad team you're playing against, and also it's practice, and who cares what's happening on August 12th in the grand scheme of things. But that's what I was watching today. He is such a good route runner. We had somebody on from New England, Curran. We had Tom Curran on after they signed Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the first couple days after they signed him, the way he operated at practice and the way his footwork and how he runs routes, he's exciting to watch. And I kind of thought that sounded cheesy or whatever. And now I know exactly what he's talking about. He's one of the most impressive practice wide receivers I think I've ever watched. I'm not even doing a bit. He's just different. The way he moves is so fluid. Terry's excellent. That's a number 1, has been for a long time for them. But he's a different kind of receiver. The shiftiness and the subtleties and the stop and start abilities of Stefon Diggs, who had a big practice today and was heavily involved. But one-on-one, for people that have never been to a practice or a training camp session, the one-on-one drills between wide receivers and DBs are designed for the wide receiver. And so Stefon Diggs should win that. But, dude, he was dominant, and it was this is a cheat code. You can't cover this guy in this drill. So I'm very impressed by him. I'm breaking out Sharpie. He's going to have a big season if he's healthy. They're going to use him well. He's going to catch a lot of passes.
I believe it, and it's what I advocated for months, and I'm thrilled that it happened. I mean, that to me is such a godsend. I think what you said is totally correct. I don't want to get away with stuff. Eventually, you're going to have to get away with stuff, right? Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and the best this game has to offer, they have to get away with things in those organizations. Those guys are making $80 million a year. I don't want to get away with a single thing where my quarterback hasn't started 25 games yet. They shouldn't be. And guys like Stefon Diggs should be here, and I'm thrilled that he is. He's awesome. I know he may not be the 1,500-yard receiver that he was a couple of years ago anymore. Still plenty of gas in the tank for him to be a really impactful player. Whether he leads the team in catches or not, I know they're better because he's here.
Well, their wide receiver room in general looks really, really good. I mentioned Burks a couple times already. I thought he had a great practice. Van Jefferson flashes like a strobe light pretty routinely. Jalen Lane did some nice things today, both in the practice but also in one-on-ones and stuff. I thought it was a quieter day overall maybe for Luke McCaffrey. But just if you go down the depth chart, it's a really good room to the point where I think whoever they cut, let's say they cut Van Jefferson, that guy could maybe start on this Dolphins team or certainly be in the top 4.
Sure.
And this isn't, it sounds like I'm over the top, but they waived Chris Hilton. He was claimed right away. I mean, they're going to cut guys that end up playing elsewhere in the league from this wide receiver room because I think Burks is someone you and I were talking yesterday. Are we sure he makes the team? Do we think he makes the team? And then you watch him at practice today and you go, he should absolutely be on the team. He may or may not be. I don't know if they view, the two special teams guys. Lane as a punt returner is a lock. Is Luke a lock? He's your kick returner. Would they want to keep Van Jefferson over Treylon Burks? I would probably keep Burks for his size and red zone abilities. But I don't know how this is going to sort itself out. And we haven't mentioned De'Ami Brown. I think Brown gives them a deep threat, that Aldrick Robinson kind of layer of this thing that they need. He also is probably, from what I can see out here, this is just my opinion, I don't know this, but it seems like he is the closest of any receiver to Jayden Daniels in terms of just hanging off the field. So does that mean that helps him too? I don't know, but I think their receivers are actually legit good now. And Diggs changed the game in that regard.
Well, I'm with you, because again, the guy, what we're talking about, who's their 3, their 4, their 5, that's way different than who's going to step up and be the number 2. And
if Terry goes down, you're screwed.
Right. Still, you're not good. You're not, as good as you would be, but I don't think it's the game changer, certainly, that it was last year. There's nothing dynamic there. And I'm hoping that, what De'Ami Brown found in the postseason is now kind of the new normal. I don't know how confident I am in that, but I would love for it to happen. And it's no longer required. It's a bonus, right? Well, let's say it doesn't work. Let's say De'Ami Brown's the guy that Jacksonville was like, yeah, we don't really care, and moved on from. Your offense isn't screwed because you still have way better answers. You have other opportunities there for guys to dominate possession and catch balls and a million other things. And Diggs is the game changer in that regard. It elevates the room to such a high degree that it's one of those. I'm kind of pinching myself still that they were actually able to pull that off and that there was mutual interest. There are other situations that are pretty good too, that he could have gone to, and I'm thrilled he's here.
So I also want to point out, as I said, I didn't watch as much of the defense today, but I did get to watch the ones in a 2-minute period to end practice against Miami's starting offense. And in that time, there were multiple holding penalties on Miami. They went backwards. And Malik Willis threw a couple balls out of bounds. And Caleb Von Chason had a sack. You're not allowed to hit the quarterback, but what would have been a sack, who's had a really good camp. And it was clear that they were kind of giving him the business a little bit in that particular series, so that was good to see. Amik Robertson had a big, loud pass breakup, and then he chirped everyone on the sideline, kind of pointing at people going down the sideline. He's an entertaining, outspoken guy, plays with a chip on his shoulder. I've enjoyed watching him throughout training camp. But overall, it was a very productive, very good day. I know you always Joan and no-sell me on the kickers, but I do want to point this out for people.
Please.
Big bounce-back day today. 6 for 6 for both of them, and for the first time in camp, they both attempted a 60-yarder and both hit a 60-yarder. Stevens cleared it by, I don't know, 6.
That's something.
That's something, right? 6 to 8 yards he cleared it by. Moody hit his pretty truly through the uprights with 4 or 5 yards to spare. But after a day where they combined to go 6 for 12, and the alarms were sounding, 12 for 12 today for the kickers, and they both drilled 60-yarders. So overall, I think it was a feel-good day. It was a bounce-back day. I guess my question I want to pose to you, Danny, next, and we can open up the phones on this, is how meaningful do you think this is? And how much do you care about the specifics of like what Washington did well and not? Because there were things that gave me some pause. The offensive line, which I came in a little skeptical about, there's not a whole lot of running room there early on here in this first team workout. So I'm curious to see that a little bit more. I did not think, and I would want to defer to an expert on this that could coach me up more, but what I watched, I didn't think it was a great day for Josh Connerly at right tackle. In both, watching him a little bit in one-on-ones and then in 11s, he had a false start and gave up what would have been a sack to Chop Robinson at one point. So I'm curious what somebody who really watched every rep from him today would grade him out as if you're a coach. But there were some things they're going to have to fix. But we can hit the phones on this next. 800-636-1067 is the number. 800-636-1067. This was the most important practice. Preseason game coming up on Friday night against the Dolphins. How much stock do you put into a workout like this against another team? Not a particularly good one, but a team that's at your facility today. Grant and Danny on the Fan.